Shark Bay. I used to love Shark Week, just like anybody else. I would get all excited for it and everything. I used to love watching them jump out of the water on my TV screen, watch the divers try to touch them. The works, you know? One night, after work, I decided to watch a little bit of Shark Week before I fell asleep. But I guess I was a bit too tired and ended up passing out after 30 minutes of the episode, with the TV still on. I still remember the dream I had to this day. It was like something out of a King novel, so I figured I would write about it. This is indeed a true story, and I hope you enjoy my nightmare. I looked down at my phone. Still no text from him. We had a fight earlier that day. Nothing new, though. We had been fighting a lot lately anyway. I looked next to me to see my little brother, staring out his window with an anxious look on his face. This was his first time going to a haunted building. John was the one driving, and his girlfriend Kat was sitting next to him. I still don't know why I convinced myself to go. I enjoyed visiting haunted buildings. But tonight? Something just didn't seem right. So, what is the story about this place? I asked.
Well, it is a library on the bay that overlooked a tragedy in the 70s. People say that if you are lucky enough, you can see the souls of those kids wandering around.
John replied. And we are going here why? I followed. Well, we want to actually go somewhere where we have the possibility of actually seeing something, said Kat.
I guess,
I mumbled. I looked out my window and watched as the ocean crashed up onto the side of the hill. Just one small swerve, and we would go flying off the cliff into the ocean. I often thought about stuff like this, always thinking of possible ways to die. I looked ahead and saw a big, dark building, and guessed that was the library. I poked my brother's arm and pointed at it. The look of excitement overwhelmed him. I couldn't help but smile.
We are here,
said John. We pulled into a small-looking garage, like the ones you see in movies. To the right of us was a small set of stairs, and everything was concrete. We all got out and walked over to the broken windows that were in front of us and looked out. I could see the waves crashing into the shore. Nothing looked spooky about it at all. So, what exactly happened here? I asked.
In the 70s, a group of kids didn't care much for the no swimming sign on the beach and went swimming anyway. Nobody really knows exactly what happened, but the people who were there that day, we just know that all the kids died that day,
said John. I sighed. Okay then, let's get started. We walked up the small stairs and through the doors, which led into a large room with another set of stairs to the right. John and Kat went up the stairs, while my brother and I walked across the room into another small room. There were tables and chairs thrown about inside, so I was guessing that this was where people went to study, or something. I had wondered why the library closed down, only because of the tragedy. Maybe people thought it was cursed or something. I don't know. We walked out of the room and caught up with John and Kat upstairs. We walked around the whole library, watching and listening for anything paranormal, but found nothing. Let's go. There is nothing here, I said.
What a fucking bust,
John said, irritated. We walked down the stairs, and when we were walking out, we saw a station wagon pull up and 3 teenage boys, around my age, and 2 kids got out. We stood on the stairs and watched as they walked past us, as if we weren't there. The last teenage boy, however, looked familiar. I didn't realize it until he looked at me. He looked just like my boyfriend. Matt? I said. He just ignored me and kept walking. What follows next, I really wish I didn't see. We watched them, following with our eyes, and noticed they were going out to the bay. John and I looked at each other, and then ran to the window to look out. When we looked out the window, it looked like it was the middle of the day. I looked at my phone. 3 a.m., it said. How was this possible? We watched them strip down to shorts and run into the water. Now that I think back, their clothes were a bit 70s looking. We watched them, confused, splash and roughhouse like boys do. 2 of the teenagers went out further. Then I noticed the fins. There were 3 of them. They were huge, like deep blue sea huge. I started screaming for them to get out of the water, but they couldn't hear me. I could hear Kat starting to freak out and my little brother start crying. John tried to jump out the window to go and try and save them, but he couldn't. Something was keeping us in the library. Something was forcing us to watch. But what? We sat there and watched as the first shark chomped one of the teen's sides and started shaking him violently. The second teen just sat there and laughed. What the hell was wrong with him? Why didn't he swim to shore? Why wasn't he scared? He yelled to the other kids, and they got excited. What the fuck was going on? He swam to the other teen, and they together picked up one of the children and started swimming him, and then tossed him at one of the sharks. I started screaming as the shark dragged him underwater, and we saw the blood just fill the water. Then they did it to the second child. Fucking stop it! You're literally killing them! I could hear Kat scream. I covered my brother's eyes and shielded him from the sight. After that, the last two teens swam out to the sharks. The sharks started chomping them and throwing them up and down. This wasn't normal shark behavior. I was so confused. I watched as they threw the teen that looked like my boyfriend up and caught him. And then they did it again. I watched as his body hit the ledge on the small hill on the opposite side of us. After that, the sharks just swam away. We sat there, staring in horror with tears in our eyes. What had we just witnessed? Was that what happened that day? If so, where did the sharks come from? We slowly walked to the car, got in, and just sat there. Nobody said a word. Nobody could. After this dream, I have developed a phobia of sharks. I can't watch Shark Week anymore. I freak when I see a shark on TV. It just feels good to actually get this out now. To share my dream.